Hi, today I have a reading from A Course in Miracles. This is from Chapter 9, The Acceptance of the Atonement, Section 4, The Holy Spirit's Plan of Forgiveness. Okay, so paragraph 1. Atonement is for all, because it is the way to undo the belief that anything is for you alone. To forgive is to overlook. Look then beyond error, and do not let your perception rest upon it, for you will believe what your perception holds. Accept as true only what your brother is, if you would know yourself. Perceive what he is not, and you cannot know what you are, because you see him falsely. Remember always that your identity is shared, and that its sharing is its reality. So back to look then beyond error, and do not let your perception rest upon it, for you will believe what your perception holds. So it's like we're being taught to keep the sense imagery transparent, and to keep in sight the reality of the shared light behind everything. And then what fades into unimportance is ego's interpretations and meaning making about everything the senses are showing us, everything memory is showing us. That becomes meaningless. And what becomes meaningful is the one thing, the shared reality, the light, the goodness without opposite, the love behind everything. And as we learn to focus more consistently on that, its ability to shine gets stronger and stronger. Its presence gets stronger and stronger. Its guidance in each one of us gets stronger and stronger. Okay, paragraph 2. You have a part to play in the atonement, but the plan of the atonement is beyond you. You do not understand how to overlook errors, or you would not make them. It would merely be further error to believe either that you do not make them, or that you can correct them without a guide to correction. And if you do not follow this guide, your errors will not be corrected. The plan is not yours because of your limited ideas about what you are. This sense of limitation is where all errors arise. The way to undo them, therefore, is not of you, but for you. So back to it would merely be further error to believe either that you do not make them, errors, or that you can correct them without a guide to correction. So when I don't feel good, there's evidence that I'm making an error. And isn't it good then? Isn't it good that I have a very clear and immediate indicator that it's my error, and it's an error of perception. And instead of paying attention to what perception's showing me right now, I can look right through it to the light behind it, becoming more and more aware of this light as being in charge of the correction of my perception. When I don't feel good, I'm misperceiving, and my perception needs to be corrected. So this isn't about anyone else. It's about my perception now, and it's about allowing it to be corrected for me. And the guide to correction is beyond what I'm perceiving. And remembering its presence, which is, I'm really there with it. That's what I am. I'm not the guide as a separate one, but this guide is what all of us are together. And that can be allowed to correct what I'm perceiving. So that's what a day is for, for the correction of misperception. Okay, paragraph 3. The atonement is a lesson in sharing, which is given you because you have forgotten how to do it. The Holy Spirit merely reminds you of the natural use of your abilities. By reinterpreting the ability to attack into the ability to share, He translates what you have made into what God created. If you would accomplish this through him, you cannot look on your abilities through the eyes of the ego, or you will judge them as it does. All their harmfulness lies in the ego's judgment. All their helpfulness lies in the judgment of the Holy Spirit. So back to the Holy Spirit. Let's see. By reinterpreting the ability to attack into the ability to share, he translates what you have made into what God created. So when I don't feel good, I've listened to ego thoughts, which are attack thoughts. So that's the idea of me attacking, right? Attack isn't really possible, but when I believe ego's attack thoughts, we could say loosely, I have attacked. And what the Holy Spirit does is reinterpret this ability because I have an ability to share, to be in the awareness of what you are, the purity of that, and what I am, and allow that to spread everywhere, to see the same light behind everyone, everything, the very same light, and to put that light in charge, and to know anything ego is telling me about all the separate aspects is misleading. And how do I know? My feeling tells me I have allowed myself to be misled, but the light that's behind everything can clear everything up. So by remembering the presence of this light and allowing it, then everything gets cleared up. Okay, paragraph 4. The ego too has a plan of forgiveness because you are asking for one, though not of the right teacher. The ego's plan, of course, makes no sense and will not work. By following its plan, you will merely place yourself in an impossible situation to which the ego always leads you. The ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first and then overlook it. Yet how can you overlook what you have made real? By seeing it clearly, you have made it real and cannot overlook it. This is where the ego is forced to appeal to mysteries, insisting that you must accept the meaningless to save yourself. Many have tried to do this in my name, forgetting that my words make perfect sense because they come from God. They are as sensible now as they ever were because they speak of ideas that are eternal. All right, so the ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first and then overlook it. And so when we're not feeling good, we're letting the ego describe things, people, situations to us, and it's describing errors and making them real. And this actually is the fear I'm projecting on top of reality. Reality is shining behind all of this, the shared identity and the light we are together. It's shining behind everything, and I can look at it and focus on it and rest in it at any time, knowing the ego doesn't know anything about anything. And then anything the ego wants to say about the fear I've projected on reality or on God, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. None of the ego's analysis or sayings matter about anything, but the light behind it matters very much. So that's our mind training. We train to focus on what is actually here and not get distracted by ego's urge to project fear on what is actually here. And then the fear takes forms, and then we try to make meaning out of those forms and analyze them, say things about those forms. But behind all those separate forms, behind the fear we've projected on reality is reality. Reality is where we are, and it's a very safe place to rest in. Okay, paragraph 5. Forgiveness that is learned of me does not use fear to undo fear, nor does it make the real the unreal and then destroy it. Forgiveness through the Holy Spirit lies simply in looking beyond error from the beginning and thus keeping it unreal for you. Do not let any belief in its realness enter your mind, or you will also believe that you must undo what you have made in order to be forgiven. What has no effect does not exist, and to the Holy Spirit, the effects of error are non-existent. By steadily and consistently canceling out all its effects everywhere and in all respects, he teaches that the ego does not exist and proves it. So back to what has no effect does not exist, and to the Holy Spirit, the effects of error are non-existent. So if we look at a human level tragedy, according to the ego, something is a tragedy, and it had effects. According to the Holy Spirit, this is non-existent. And it's not cruel or wrong to look past human tragedy toward the light, the perception of human tragedy, toward the light and acknowledgement of what is real here. And then to be of service to all. If there's anything to think, say, or do, it will be delivered to us. So mind training is about developing the faith that looking right through the fear I'm projecting toward the light that is actually here, toward God, toward love, with Holy Spirit's help, every instruction anyone needs will be delivered to them. And I can just rest in the safety of that. By steadily and consistently canceling out all its effects, everywhere and in all respects. So think about that. Holy Spirit can cancel out the effects of error everywhere and in all respects. And that's nothing a tiny little character does. We allow that to happen. We stop insisting that the fear we're projecting on the light is real. We stop insisting that, and we let it be corrected. He teaches that the ego does not exist and proves it. So we're always here with the help of the Holy Spirit every day. And what can the Holy Spirit do every day? Teach that the ego doesn't exist and prove it. You can say, prove it to the Holy Spirit. Prove that the ego doesn't exist. And what's the Holy Spirit going to do? Use the symbols of time and space, which we're learning not to attempt to project meaning on or interpret by ourselves. But still, the Holy Spirit can use what we believe in, the symbols of time and space, to prove to us that the ego doesn't exist, to lead us through and out of what we have made. Okay, paragraph 6. Follow the Holy Spirit's teaching and forgiveness then, because forgiveness is His function, and He knows how to fulfill it perfectly. That is what I meant when I said that miracles are natural, and when they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Miracles are merely the sign of your willingness to follow the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation. Recognizing that you do not understand what it is. So here we are, not knowing. Wait, I paused for a minute, so I'm not sure if I finished that paragraph. So let me do that. His work is not your function, and unless you accept this, you cannot learn what your function is. Okay, and what stood out to me was that sentence. Miracles are merely the sign of your willingness to follow the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation, recognizing that you do not understand what it is. So moment by moment, that can get revealed to us. And when we don't feel good is when we know we're blocking the moment by moment plan that's just always given to us. And so we can stop to take a moment to reorient towards sanity and this openness to the light that's beyond everything. When we don't feel good, we've gotten caught up looking at the projection of fear, the error, and listening to all ego's thoughts about that projection of error. But that projection of error is meaningless. And as I remember how to look toward our shared identity in the light, then the guidance is here for me, and it can show me moment by moment. I have to reorient a lot still, but I'm happy to understand what it means when I don't feel good. That's enough for now. The ability to reorient, that's enough. Okay, paragraph 7. The confusion of functions is so typical of the ego that you should be quite familiar with it by now. The ego believes that all functions belong to it, even though it has no idea what they are. This is more than mere confusion. It is a particularly dangerous combination of grandiosity and confusion that makes the ego likely to attack anyone and anything for no reason at all. This is exactly what the ego does. It is unpredictable. It's unpredictable in its responses because it has no idea of what it perceives. So back to this last part. The ego is unpredictable in its responses because it has no idea of what it perceives. So when we don't feel good, we don't know what we're perceiving. And ego's entire up-down scale of addictive emotion, that's kind of like the drug I'm addicted to. That's all of that. It's so changeable, it's so unstable. That's the unpredictability. But what we are together, it is peace. It is very stable. It is very still, yet very alive. It's eternal. It's joy. It's love. It's completely separate from ego's up-down scale of drug addiction, of emotion. There's like a state of awareness, which is what is real. There's peace, there's love, there's joy, there's the depth of it, the stillness of it, the power of it, the freedom of it. There's what we actually are behind everything that looks separate. And then over here, there's ego's up-down scale of emotion. It's reactivity to the illusions I'm making. So ego can seem to feed me this drug of different kinds of reactivity. They seem to be different. It's all fear. Whether it's the up or the down of ego's scale, it's all fear. And it's all concerned with making the error real, what I'm perceiving. That's real. And it can either satisfy me or intensely dissatisfy me. And that's all of ego's up-down scale of emotion. And then over here, totally separate from that, because what is real and what isn't real. The ego's up-down scale of emotion, its reactivity to illusion, is not real. So I have to look through what I'm projecting on the light. It's transparent, it's meaningless. To the light, here's the actual state of awareness, the state of being I have shared with you eternally, and I will share with you eternally. It's love. It's peace. It's aliveness. It's eternal. It's truth. It's grace. It's joy. It's always here behind anything the ego is making a fuss about. It's entirely stable forever. It can be relied upon in every situation. It is our guide. It is our sane guide through and out of what we have imagined. So it's always here. Okay, paragraph 8. If you have no idea what is happening, how appropriately can you expect to react? You might ask yourself, regardless of how you may account for the reaction, whether its unpredictability places the ego in a sound position as your guide. Let me repeat that the ego's qualifications as a guide are singularly unfortunate, and that it is a remarkably poor choice as a teacher of salvation. Let's see. I just went ahead a page. Just trying to find my place. Okay. Anyone who elects a totally insane guide must be totally insane himself. Nor is it true that you do not realize the guide is insane. You realize it because I realize it, and you have judged it by the same standard I have. So back to, if you have no idea what is happening, how appropriately can you expect to react? When I don't feel good, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I'm looking at a fear surface. I'm projecting using thoughts from ego. And the ego thoughts will tell me that I do know what is happening. So now, understanding that I don't know what is happening, I can look through the fear I'm projecting, not trying to figure it out, not trying to give it any meaning, to the light all of us are behind that, and rest and rely on that light, and understand that is the source of, if there's something to think, do, say, it will come from here, from this place where we are together, from this place where true meaning is. And it's nothing the ego could ever say anything about. Okay, paragraph 9. The ego literally lives on borrowed time, and its days are numbered. Do not fear the last judgment, but welcome it, and do not wait, for the ego's time is borrowed from your eternity. This is the second coming that was made for you as the first was created. The second coming is merely the return of sense. Can this possibly be fearful? So the second coming is merely the return of sense. And to see how welcome that is. If you have grown tired of the crazy and all you want is the return of sense, equally to everyone and everything, and of course that includes you, just let sense come back to all of us. Sanity. And do I know how it's going to unfold? No. But the light is here, and if there's something I should think, say, do, it's here. It can deliver. As long as I'm not busy projecting fear, reacting to it, trying to interpret it, I am able to allow the light to be in charge, and to see it as the reality of everyone and everything I look upon, and not be fooled anymore. Wouldn't we like the return of sense? Okay, paragraph 10. What can be fearful but fantasy, and who turns to fantasy unless he despairs of finding satisfaction in reality? Yet it is certain that you will never find satisfaction in fantasy, so that your only hope is to change your mind about reality. Only if the decision that reality is fearful is wrong can God be right. And I assure you that God is right. Be glad, then, that you have been wrong. But this was only because you did not know who you were. Had you known, you could no more have been wrong than God can. So back to, yet it is certain that you will never find satisfaction in fantasy, so that your only hope is to change your mind about reality. So I've been treating fantasy like it's reality. And as I understand more and more deeply, the fear I'm projecting on reality can never satisfy me. There's not a single hope or prayer that time and space, the fear I've been projecting upon eternity, upon reality, upon limitlessness, upon freedom, because time and space are limits. So the fear I've been projecting upon reality, if I can finally see and accept, there is not one single hope of satisfaction from the fear I projected on reality. Sorry, my stomach's been gurgling. It's just the fear I projected upon reality. There's no satisfaction in the fantasy. But that's okay, because as we look beyond that to the identity we share in the light, that is our complete fulfillment. We are complete in our shared identity in innocence. That is our complete fulfillment. And that's nothing that's ever changed. We just allowed ourselves to forget that we are completely fulfilled in God. And there's no need to struggle to be satisfied from the fear that can never truly nourish us. There's no need to even make that attempt anymore. Okay, so paragraph 11. The impossible can happen only in fantasy. Where you search for reality in fantasies, you will not find it. The symbols of fantasy are of the ego, and of these you will find many, but do not look for meaning in them. They have no more meaning than the fantasies into which they are woven. Fairy tales can be pleasant or fearful, but no one calls them true. Children may believe them, and so for a while the tales are true for them. Yet when reality dawns, the fantasies are gone. Reality has not gone in the meanwhile. The second coming is the awareness of reality, not its return. So going back to, but do not look for meaning in the symbols of fantasy. When I'm looking upon, with my eyes, physical eyes, the fear I projected upon reality, I'm looking at meaninglessness. So what I can learn is that it's a mistake to try to look at what I'm projecting, the fear I'm projecting, and to attempt to make any sense of it. I can get very clear that I don't have the ability to make sense of a fearful projection. But I can look beyond it, and I can consult guidance, and I can allow guidance to be in charge. So knowing that I understand nothing, I still can allow guidance to be in charge and to correct my perception. And that's what miracles are for. Once we've gotten quiet and we say, I surrender any hope of trying to gain satisfaction from the fear projection, then Holy Spirit's given a chance, and it only really needs a very little chance to come in and use the symbols we made to remind us of home, to light up the way home, and make it very easy for all of us. Okay. Paragraph 12. Behold, my child, reality is here. It belongs to you and me and God, and is perfectly satisfying to all of us. Only this awareness heals because it is the awareness of truth. So only this awareness heals. The awareness that reality belongs to Jesus and me and God and you, and is satisfying to everyone. What already is perfectly satisfying. That heals, because that's truth. So we're no longer trying to find or look for truth in time and space, in what senses show us, even in our memories of time and space, because truth is prior to and beyond all that. We're becoming aware of that, and we're becoming aware of how to allow truth to be in charge. So that is a great gift to us all. And I feel very encouraged to be able to have my misperceptions corrected, and to remember how loved and safe we all are, as we truly are, and that the symbols of time and space can be used by Spirit to reflect that back to us as we allow it. So mind training. All right. Wishing you well.